Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to dive deep into Unearthed Arcana and look at a really useful magic item. Beads of Force. Beads of Force, you say? Yes, these are actually quite good. I enjoy Beads of Force. So the description, they're worth 200 experience points each, and the description is, one of these small black spheres might be mistaken for a common bead, a marble, or perhaps an unusually black but lusterless pearl. Each is about 3/4 of an inch in diameter and quite heavy, weighing almost an ounce. One can be hurled up to 30-foot distance. Upon impact, the bead will send forth a burst of force, which will inflict 5 to 20 points of damage, 5 die 4, hit points of damage upon all creatures within a 10-foot radius of the center. Each victim is allowed a saving throw versus spell. Those who save will be thrown out of the blast area, but those who fail to save will be encapsulated by a sphere of force after taking damage. The sphere will form around any and all such creatures in the 10-foot radius area, even those of large size, and will persist for 3 to 12 rounds. Victims will be unable to escape except by the same means used to bring down a wall of force spell. From 5 to 8 of these beads are usually found at one time. There's a lot there. Beads of force are outstanding. Well, for one thing, they're small, and when hurled, they'll fly up to 30 feet. When they hit, they'll blow out in a 10-foot radius and do 5 to 20 points of damage. So you better be sure you're beyond 10 feet when you throw this guy. These are good, by the way. I've given these out even in lower level campaigns, 3rd and 4th level, all the way up through higher level campaigns. They're good. Players get a kick out of them. They're very useful. It's neat to trap a monster in a hamster ball. Nothing in the description says you can't roll the hamster ball. So I've had players where they've thrown it and they've trapped, say, an ogre in the bead, and then they've just rolled the sphere to the nearest flight of stairs and down it went. That's happened once or twice in my games. It's always good for a laugh, and of course the ogre gets battered around after having taken the 5 to 20. He also gets bashed around as he falls down the stairs. So it's fun. But the bead itself weighs up to an ounce, and as I said, flies up to 30 feet, but upon impact will explode. You get a saving throw, but either way you take the damage. 5 die 4. The damage, or the saving throw, is whether you're inside the sphere or out of the sphere. And it doesn't talk much about the force of the explosion, but it's pretty considerable if it'll throw you out of a 10-foot area. It's pretty significant. I don't give an additional damage if you get blown out of the area. I don't give extra damage for landing or anything like that. It's just the 5 die 4. But once you're encapsulated, it's everybody within a 10-foot sphere. So if you're unfortunate enough to be tightly packed for whatever reason, and enough people fail this, you could have 7 or 8 people trapped in this hamster ball all at once for 3 to 12 rounds. That's a long time to be jammed into a round area. That can cause problems by itself. We've had it where 2 or 3 creatures have been trapped inside. That can be some fun role-playing too. You tell them, oh, I'm going to hit this with a permanence and you're never going to get out, that kind of thing. You use the same means to escape as to bring down a wall of force. I allow teleportation if it's available to the creature inside, or dimension door. I allow either one of those to work, no problem. Teleport nowhere, anything like that. Plane travel, anything like that will get you outside of the sphere. Turning gaseous form will not. Turning to light somehow, which none of us have ever had the ability to do, because light can pass through the bead, then yes, if you could somehow turn to light, yes, you could. The other way I've used these beads is to take them and put them in a very small box, a somewhat fragile wooden box, and put the bead itself in there, and then put it under a paving stone. And as somebody walks along this little paving stone, they step on the paver, the box gets crushed, the bead gets crushed, and the detonation goes off. So it's just a little landmine that I've used a couple of times in dungeons and in wooded paths and things like that. Anything that it can be under that one step down when there's added weight will be crushed, then it will explode. There's an argument to be said you could actually just take the pearl by itself and set it, or the bead rather, and put it underneath the flagstone and set the flagstone gently on top of it, and then when the flagstone gets stepped on, it detonates. That's fine. I've allowed it either way. It's just fun. It's something I've done in a number of dungeons. My players are rather wary of empty corridors, especially if I've been in a mood to put traps into a dungeon. This is one that I like to put in. And I've put multiples under that flagstone. Nothing says you can't detonate 3 or 4 of these all at once. So you could, if you had 4, you reach into your pouch, pull out all 4, throw them to 30 feet, and detonate them for 4 doses of 5 to 20 damage. So that would be, wow, that would be 20 die 4 damage. That's pretty good. Um, that's going to hurt pretty much anybody. As I said, these are good no matter what the level, because the impact damage is still good damage. I also do not allow magic resistance against the explosion damage or against the sphere itself. So if a creature has magic resistance, you're facing a drow or a drow matron, for instance, this would be a good way to incapacitate her for a few moments. I'm not saying she couldn't cast spells out of the sphere, because she could. Anything what we call transcendental spells, spells that start where the caster is and then finish somewhere else, as in a continual light or continual darkness for a drow. If they're going to cast on your eyes, the spell itself can originate within the beat of force and then transcend the beat of force and appear outside. We've always allowed that. We call, as I say, we call them transcendental spells. But if somebody were to try to throw a fireball out of one of these things, that originates at your fingertip and zooms forth. That'll detonate on the sphere and cause all kinds of problems. So beat of force, just a nice little thing, 5 to die 4 damage. That's going to be something like, call it 2 points of damage per. So you're going to get about 10 points of damage. So my example of throwing 4 of them, you're going to be eating about 40 points of damage from that, plus 4 saving throws, or else you end up encapsulated. We do allow layer upon layer, one to encompass the other, just because it's fun. Also, as I've said, using these as a landmine is a favorite at our table, just because it's fun. And from 5 to 4 of these are usually found at a time, and 200 points, 200 experience points each. That's something like 1,000 to 1,600 experience points. That's pretty darn good. So there you have it, beat of force. It seems innocuous, a simple little thing, but when you think about it and ways to use it, you could also put this, if there was a door slightly ajar, I've actually put these within the closing area of a door, where they would be between the hinge part of the door and the door jamb. When the door is closed all the way, they detonate. They'll go off that way as well. There's a lot of different ways you can use these guys as booby traps. That's one of the reasons I like them so much. But there you have it. That's all I've got to say today for page 121. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Please take a look at the Patreon. Help me out there if you can. And I'll see you next time.